All right, the three kings are people have always had a great love of Christmas. They wanted to know about Jesus Christ and where he was born and the details. So the Bible, especially St. Luke, tell us about his birth. And the synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, tell us about three kings, or at least some of them do, about three kings who came from the east. Excuse me, it does not say three, it just says three, the Magi, or in Latin, Magi, these men who were men of wisdom, of science, that came from the East, and they represent the wisdom and science and perhaps recondite private knowledge that came from the eastern part of Near Eastern or Middle Eastern Asia. These people became, just picked the curiosity of the Christians, and certainly does among Hispanic people. And they were given the names of Melchor, Gaspar, and Balthasar. But really, these names were applied because we don't know what the names were, no, how many they were, how many kings or magi there were. Now, people wanted to know about Jesus Christ, his past, his mother, where he came from. We know that Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judah, the south, that there was a census prescribed by the authorities, and Mary and Joseph went south, a 90-mile trip, as she was expecting her baby. Now, we tend to think of Joseph as an old man, but a Jewish man that time married at the age of 18. That was it. Life was hard, and it was short. And he was married as a young man to Mary, who was his virginal wife, who was 15 or 14 years old. At that time, society supported marriage very, very much. They never divorced. They never separated. And these young people went and they sought for a place where they could spend the night, and Joseph was well aware that his wife was due to have a child at any time. We tend to blame the innkeeper of the caravansary for not accepting. He was a very hard man, but we don't know. Just there may have been no room in the inn. Now, mind you, the inn was, as I just used the word, caravansary, an oriental place with the most primitive setup for taking care of visitors for the night. There was no steam baths, no deep rugs on the floor. It was just a place to have a roof over your head. But there was no room. So they did what people did in those days when these circumstances turned up. They went to a cave or a cavern, an ample place. And people that in those days kept animals, sheep especially, in the cavern to protect them from the cold weather or from rain. And people would stay there also to protect themselves for the night. So it was not that alien, not that foreign for Joseph to take his wife, who was with child, to go to the cavern where she was born. Now today in Bethlehem, in the Basilica of the Nativity, you can go downstairs and you can see the place. You can put your hand on the actual rock, which was the general area of where Jesus Christ the Savior was born. Mind you, all these things are not, we don't know exactly the very spot, a place 4 feet by 4 feet. We don't know the exact spot, but in general, that is the area about the size of this room I am in right now, where the birth took place. That was the Savior of the world. We very much like the three kings. We call them kings, especially the Hispanic people, because the Bible tells us, using them as kind of symbols, it's to tell us that this baby was quite different. There was no other baby like him. He was more than royal. He was 3 times royal. Or several kings came, or magi came to visit him. It does tell us about Aurum. They brought gold, which represents divinity. They brought incense, which signifies as a symbol of holiness and sacrifice. So this tells us this baby was the Redeemer, would be the Redeemer. It tells us they brought myrrh. It has a pungent, acrid, not unpleasant odor to it. And you can crush it in your hands and you can experience the fragrance of incense. So the Bible tells us something more than we expect to hear, perhaps. What we really want, what really took place, what it really means, maybe sometimes different from what some people think. Now, I want you to know we all hope that the viewers have a blessed Christmas. This is a religious feast. It is not really Santa Claus. That's for children so they understand what goodness about. Santa Claus is a myth based upon an Eastern bishop, by the way. But we all want everyone to have a happy, enjoyable, a peaceful Christmas. It is a time of peace brought by the King of Peace, Rex Pacis, the King of Peace. You know, the desire of the Jew was shalom, which means peace, and Jerusalem means the city of peace, Yerushalayim, city of peace. And we desire that we get all the fruit out of this wonderful feast, which perhaps is the biggest of the year, but it appeals to us most of all this Christmas by celebrating it in a religious way. Blessed Christmas to all of you. Father Fred O'Brien. I belong to the Archdiocese of Boston, and in 1957 I returned from Spain studies to open a Spanish center for the Hispanics in the south end of Boston, which proved to be very, very successful. And when I left the active ministry, I guess I never have, we had 28 communities throughout the Archdiocese where a bilingual priest took care of our Hispanic people. Peace to all.